Shalom Yasharala, peace Israel, Kal Halayim La, Alahayanawa, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. All praises to our power, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. Double honor to our apostles and elders, great millstone. Peace and blessing to the elect of Israel, Shalom. Italians in the Mafia trace their lineage through their father. Italians in the Mafia trace their lineages through their fathers. I'm in the book Mysteries of History, Secret Societies, which is basically a magazine, but I call it a book. You know, it has some good information in it. And they discuss Masons, religious cults, Scientology, Opus Dei, the Mafia, Skull and Bones, and more. But we're going to focus on the Mafia, all right? Now, we're on page 78. Now it says, Married to the Mafia. A look at how a Mafia member gets made and rules he must follow to stay alive. This is by Pierre de Champlain. And this is taken from Godfather Part 2. All right, with Michael Corleone, played by Al Pacino. Now, let's get into it. It says the Mafia emerged as a powerful criminal organization in the middle of the 19th century, which is the 1800s, taking shape in the rural areas of Western Sicily. And Sicilians are Israelites. All right? The vast majority of Sicilians go back to so-called Negroes. Speaking on your father's lineage, the majority of Sicilians' fathers' lineages go back to the Moors, okay? Their father's lineage goes back to the Moors. Let's keep reading. The word mafia, which means family, was first used in 1838 in a police report by law enforcement authorities in the province of Trapani. Historically, only white males of full Italian heritage could be admitted to Cosa Nostra. Now, it's saying white males, but really they're Israelites trapped in so-called white bodies. Like Elder Apostle Gabar said, they're really Israelites trapped in so-called white bodies. You know, they're what we call Israelite foreigners. They look like Edomites, but really they're Israelites. And a lot of them don't even look like Edomites. They just have that pale Edomite skin. But when you look at their features, okay, you look at that one member of the Mafia, Lucky Luciano. You look at his face, man. Look at his nose and look at his eyes, and you mean to tell me that's a so-called white boy? Nah, man, that's an Israelite. You know? Those different broad features, and not just him, but all of them. Okay? Now, they say only white males, but remember, the Lord scattered us, man. So we have that look, okay? But you're going to see why we're reading this, okay? You're going to see why we're getting into this. Historically, only white males of full Italian heritage could be admitted to Cosa Nostra. You know? Full Italian heritage. You know, meaning this is who they are. All right? You know, because see, Vocab Malone, he wants to say that, you know, the heritage is only talking about your inheritance or the land. Well, heritage doesn't only mean the land, all right? Heritage goes into your culture, who you are as a people, you know, the language you speak, your ways about you, okay? Your full heritage, not just the land, but who you are and what you do. All right, so they will have full heritage. Also, going into your nationality. This is mainly going into your nationality. You know, you have to have full Italian heritage. You know, but see, they're speaking mainly on the fathers. So let's get into it. All right, so only white males of full Italian heritage could be admitted to Cosa Nostra, which I looked it up, and immediately I thought of El Apostle Bar because, you know, he gets into different languages. You know, he gets into Italian, you know, and other languages. And immediately I thought of him after I looked it up because Cosa Nostra means our thing. You know the apostle, he always says how this truth, meaning the Bible, it's the thing of ours. So the Italians, you know, they're speaking about this this crime syndicate, as you will, or you know, if you will, this organization they call Cosa Nostra. You know, our thing. Well, they really, you know, in the spirit get that from Israel, man. Now, they were going off. They were being wicked. I'm not justifying anything that they did as far as murdering people, selling drugs, you know, the different things they were doing. But just their spirit, it goes back to Israel, man. Cosa Nostra, our thing. Because, you know, Israel likes to be separate. Now it says the American arm of the Mafia. And now it says, but in the early 1980s, the rule was loosened to allow the admission of other valuable candidates. So, you know, originally you have to be a full Italian heritage, which means your father and your mother had to be full Italian, you know, or full Sicilian. You know what I'm saying? But see, later on, they changed it. But let's see what they changed it to. They didn't change it very much. And we're going to show you how. Men whose fathers were of Italian descent, but whose mothers were from another ethnic group could be accepted. Why? Because their father was Italian. Their father was an Israelite, which they don't believe that they're Israelites, you know. But nonetheless, their father was Italian. Their father was a Jake, you know. It doesn't matter what the mother is. You know what I'm saying? And we don't downplay women. We don't, you know, speak against women in that fashion, you know, because you need women to make a nation. But the focus is on the man. The man is who you are. The man is who you come from. You come from that seed. It says men whose fathers were of Italian descent, but whose mothers were from another ethnic group. Which ethnic, that goes back to your race, your nationality, okay? So if their mothers were from another race, basically, or another nation, they could still be accepted, all right? Now it says, as could men married to non-Italian women. You know, because at the end of the day, the children would still be Italian because of the father, all right? The patrilineal requirement is strictly observed, though. That's the point right there. The patrilineal requirement is strictly observed. So patrilineal, all right, your paternal line, all right, tracing your lineage through your father, okay? Tracing your ancestry through your father. You are who your father is, which is an ancient custom. You know, you tracing your genealogy through your father. And let's get it, okay? This is in the book of Numbers, chapter 1, verse 18. Now it says, speaking about Israel, I'll begin in verse 17. Man, I'll begin in verse 16. It says, these were the renowned of the congregation, princes of the tribes of their fathers, heads of thousands in Israel. And Moses and Aaron took these men, which are expressed by their names, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month. And they declared their pedigrees, after their families. Now, pedigree goes into genealogy. All right? When you look it up, it literally means foot of a crane, which is basically a fancy way of saying you tracing your lineage. You know, foot of a crane. All right? You tracing your lineage through your father's line. And they declared their pedigrees, their genealogies, after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward, by their polls. And that's the point. Okay? Which, once again, Sicilians are Israelites, man. Even in the movie True Romance, they tell you that. You know? The patrilineal requirement is strictly observed. Strictly. You know? So at first you had to be a full Italian heritage, which means your father and your mother had to be Italian. But then they changed it to, well, as long as your father is Italian, you're good. You know? I'll give an example, speaking on, full heritage. Our Lord Yahweh Shai. Our Lord Yahweh Shai, he's a full Israelite heritage because the line of his father and his mother go back to King David. You know, you read about the line of his father in Matthew, the 1st chapter, and you read about the line of his mother's father in, Luke, the 3rd chapter. And both lineages go back to King David and ultimately go back to Israel. Okay? So the Lord, he's a full heritage, a full Israelite heritage, all right? But see, the Lord, he looks at us and he accepts us even if we're not a full heritage, meaning if we have mothers of another nation, well, our fathers are still Israelites, so he accepts us. You know, we've been scattered, so not all of us are going to have that full heritage, man. But at the same time, in the same token, you still have it because you are who your father is anyway. All right? So, Lord willing, this is edifying. I just found this interesting, man. They said how the patrilineal requirement is strictly observed. You know, where did they get this custom from or this tradition? It goes back to Israel, you know? And this shows you the spirit of those so-called Italians and Sicilians. They're Israelites, really, man. Romans 8:16. That's why they kept this, man. You know? Like I said, they were being wicked, but the truth is the truth. You know, so Lord willing, this is edifying. I want to say, Kal Halayim La Alahayanawa, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Rakakwadash. Double honor to our apostles and elders, great millstone, still rule well. Peace and blessing to the hopeful elect, the real family.